Hello, Aries. Welcome to a Mercury retrograde tarot reading. This is going to be a life path kind of reading. So it could be about love, it could be about finances, it could be about what's happening in your travel, your household, your job. I'm going to let the cards from the Flow Tarot deck determine what it is you're going to be focusing on in this Mercury retrograde. Mercury retrograde is 2 days away. We are currently in not even just the shadow period. It's actually 1 day away. Actually, today's the 25th, rather. It's in the next 24 hours where the retrograde period actually happens. We are currently stationed in a still motion. Our Mercury is still in the skies. It is not moving. It is about to begin its slow dance into retrograde motion. So, with all of that being said, let's see what the cards want to talk about here. Each one of you are different. I'm aware of that. And this reading may not be meant for every one of you. I don't know who this is for, but whoever it's for, I hope it makes its way to you. The main theme that I'm interested in here so far. Oh gosh, there's a lot of really interesting energy about this. The Eight of Wands is here. In this deck, it's called the Eight of Waves. It's about synchronicity. It is in the upright position. So it talks about communication that's going to be coming in, information that's going to be coming in. And if we look at the Justice card next to it, then it may be institutional information that comes in for you at this Mercury retrograde period, which is institutionally, that means it could be information from your, well, it's the Justice card. It could be from a court. It could be through legislation. It could be through your boss, your authority, the people above you in a hierarchical system. Bills that come in the mail, paperwork that has to be dealt with. Again, with the Justice card, think information in a logistical sense, in like a framework sense. For some of you, that could be citizenship paperwork. For others of you, it could be educational information that comes in from a teacher or a course that you're taking. I like that the Eight of Wands or the Eight of Waves in this deck is showing up in the upright position. And the Justice card is in the upright position, because both of those in that dynamic talk about the information that you receive through this kind of logistical framework paperwork that you could get is it's like it's coming in the way that it should be. It's not giving you any surprises that you don't already know. It's not catching you off guard. It's almost like you expect this paperwork already. In fact, the King of Clouds is here. It's called the card of spiraling renewal. I really love that you have this dynamic of the clouds showing up with the king here in the upright position, because we know that when a king or a person in authority, especially ones that come from a justice system, a legal system, or your teacher or your boss, when that king is in the reversal position, it can be a very lopsided experience. But people who are in positions of authority above you have a tendency to be moody or, finagling what they're dealing with, taking the paperwork and mucking around with it. So the fact that this King of Clouds is in the upright position is wonderful. And just for the reference, the King of Clouds, that's the King of Cups. This is why there's the spiraling energy, because the King of Cups, as much as he's a very, you would think, lovey kind of character, he can be very dominant, because he can be the kind of person who is moody, emotional, suspicious, when he's mismanaged, right? Those are some pretty heavy energies to deal with if they're mismanaged. And that there's a lot to that. Moodiness is like a spiral, right? It's like something that takes over another person, right? Suspicion can be like that. Mistrust can be like that. So all the more better to have this card in the upright, because instead of spiraling and consuming you, he pushes things forward in the proper position for a renewal to occur. In this deck, it's about renewal. So also on that note, because there is this dynamic of renewal and receiving some kind of communication, it could be that the communication that you receive from whatever, bill in the mail, order, court order, person of authority, your boss, or whoever you're dealing with, it might afford you this position of renewing something that you've been waiting for. For some reason, the word disability just came into my mind. So for some of you, like from an intuitive position, if you're waiting on paperwork that has to do with health matters, this may be that it's not your first go around trying to tackle this, because the word renewal is here. For some reason, my mind is thinking of someone who's trying to get, even like with the Justice card, an insurance claim, things like that. Just throwing it out there, okay? Some of you, what you are dealing with in terms of the justice system doesn't have to be just like disabilities and claims. And again, there's a wide range of what people can deal with in the justice system. Some of you are dealing with matters that relate to family, right? And so getting a position like a renewal in the family or a renewal in health, these are all psychological benefits, things that can uplift us. I also see that the 9 of Wands is also here. And look at what it says. Look at what it asks you to do at this time in this Mercury retrograde, when you're waiting on this paperwork, or when you're finalizing whatever this, justice-based or institutional-based situation is, or education or course system is. It says keep going, persevere, continue on. Like the 9 of Wands is here to demonstrate. That's a really nice energy coming out of this. You've got renewal, you've got perseverance, and honestly, the 8 of Wands dynamic, or the 8 of Waves, it's depicting the image of the fish that go upstream. It's ultimately saying keep going, keep persevering, even if it feels like you have to go against the tide to get there. Right? Synchronicity is the energy of this card, because no matter how much sometimes it feels like you're going upstream or in an uphill battle, like pushing a boulder uphill in Greek mythology kind of thing. If we look back to the tales of the olden day, no matter how much it feels like there's friction to doing something, those things that are brought in our lives are happening for us, right? Not just against us all the time. They are happening through a mode that Carl Jung would call synchronicity. Now, there is a feeling also coming from this reading where it's almost like things have not just been hunky-dory. Sometimes we deal with paperwork, or sometimes we deal with, bills or orders or insurance claims, whatever it is logistically that we deal with, where it does feel like it's difficult. Other times, people go through a situation and it's like, oh, I'm so glad it worked out the first time. Everything's just so smooth. Those are two different ways of one situation going. I think in your reading, there's more weight to the fact that it's felt like it was an uphill battle in the past, that it's not that you were just, given a windfall of blessings, which, yes, there is blessing energy in this, especially because it's telling you to persevere. But for the first half of how you've had to go through the situation, it doesn't look like it's been all hunky-dory the entire time. Again, cheers to anyone who goes through legislation or orders or court situations or education and it's just like smooth sailing. But for many people, that is not the case. And I don't think it is here as well. I think, again, there's been difficulties surrounding why you've had to persevere, why it feels like an uphill battle, as being told in the story of the Two of Snow, the card of the path. But the Two of Snow in traditional tarot, this is the Two of Swords. In the Flow Tarot deck, it's always about images of water. But this deck in and of itself is based off of the traditional Rider-Waite-Smith deck. And y'all know how much I love that deck. So the history of the Two of Swords, it feels like the Two of Wands, where you're on a crossroads path when you have to make a decision. Do I stay where I am, or do I continue to persevere? Even in the cold, even in the bitterness. And most importantly, like the Two of Swords in traditional tarot talks about, even when you can't see the path in front of you. That traditional tarot card with the Two of Swords, the woman is holding 2 swords in her hand. Like on this deck, it's a snow path. It looks like The Shining at the end of the movie with Jack Nicholson, where he's going through the path. It's not so gory on this card, but you get the gist of it. It's like the darkness of this image here is very prominent. But historically, it's a woman who's sitting on a stone, on like a little bit of a stone throne, you could say. Not quite a throne, but like a pillar. She's put herself up on this seated position, and she has a blindfold over top of her. And in her hand, she has 2 swords. She takes the swords and she crosses her heart. She puts the swords in her arms across her chest to protect herself. Like if you did that right now and you held your arms across your chest, that's a defensive position, right? And the card of the Two of Swords is trying to relay that. It's a person, though, when they have their blindfold on, that they're bracing for impact over a situation that they don't actually see yet, and how we relate that to your life. It kind of brings us into this energy where you may have found that the uphill situations of the past, the difficulty of the situations you were dealing with, waiting on the paperwork or navigating the legislation or navigating court or justice situations, or, you know, again, insurance or health related situations, has felt like such an uphill battle that even when it no longer continues to be an uphill battle, you're still bracing for impact as if it is. Because now you've accumulated fears in your mind that the situation could go south, right? And anybody who's been in situations like that, we don't want it to go south. We just want the shit to be done with. We just want to get it over with and get to the good side of what's happening, you know, down the road. Once we get the justice card, right, in the upright position, we want justice to be served. We want the orders and the paperwork to come in. You know, if we've applied for something, we want our application papers to come in all hunky-dory. If we're dealing with car matters, whatever it is that we're dealing with, we are wanting the justice to be served in our favor. And that leaves us in a position where we no longer have to wear a blindfold on, like the image originally of the Two of Swords. We can finally see the paperwork in front of us. We want to be able to see, okay, we can take a breath of fresh air. Well, like seeing what the dates are, seeing what the paperwork is. Once it's in front of us and we can see it, we don't have so much of a fear. We don't have to brace ourselves for impact anymore. That is coming to you in this Mercury retrograde. Just bear in mind, Mercury retrogrades are notorious for being a time frame when the paperwork that you have in front of you, you need to cross your T's and dot your I's and proofread it again and look at the fine print. You know, thankfully on your side, the Eight of Wands being in the upright position insinuates that even under the difficulties of the Mercury retrograde, you will have your bullseye hit. Like if you are aiming like an archer for a bullseye and you want a certain thing on your paperwork, the Eight of Wands and the Justice card insinuates that you will hit the target. You will get what it is that you need, and it will show up. We're doing a Mercury retrograde reading, so this question or this reading talks about it showing up during this time frame. There have been a lot of people, by the way, I'm just going to leave off with this here, that have said that this Mercury retrograde might actually bring specific renewals that have turned out better than previous Mercury retrogrades. Again, a lot of people get pent up and they brace for impact, even in that, even in a Mercury retrograde. The way that we would brace for impact in other areas of our life, like paperwork, once you start getting into Mercury retrogrades, everybody who is interested in astrology starts bracing for impact again. But a lot of people have said that this is a softer energy. This Mercury retrograde can be a little bit softer for people, really bringing out a renewed sense of an old situation for the better. Of course, there are some astrologers out there who have been looking at Mercury retrograde and still seeing that it's a very heavy set one, because we've got a lot of heavy players with, Saturn entering into Aries, Neptune entering into Aries, shifts with Uranus happening, etc., etc. And so just be aware. You know, people are saying it's a little bit softer, but take your time still to cross your T's and dot your I's regardless of that. And then if it is a softer experience of a Mercury retrograde, then feel happy for it. You know what I mean? Count the blessings as they come in. I'm going to leave you guys off with that. And I'm going to head over to TikTok, and I'm going to do some love readings. This was a life reading for you guys. And I'm going to do the sign of Taurus. I'm going to do their Mercury retrograde reading here on YouTube as well. I'll get some love done today, and I'll get some life done today. So thank you for joining me if you have. And I hope you enjoyed the use of the Flow Tarot deck. I have not really previewed that one much with you, but it is a deck that is beautiful. And yeah, I wanted to kind of showcase that, give you guys a little preview of it. I will talk to you guys later. Thank you very much, and ciao for now.